What up? It's your boy T-Bear. Her reaction days is wrestling reaction because I'm not sure I'm gonna have this out by Wednesday. But anyway, because I'm doing late right now, it's like 11 o'clock right now, so it's gonna be come out tomorrow. So anyway, we're gonna check out a video from What Cost Wrestling: 10 WWE jobbers who became world champion. A lot of people get a start. Not everybody who gets into the WWE gets in as a star or as a superstar from the get go as well too. Some had to work their way up from the bottom to the top as well too. And some way by as becoming jobbers, whether it's in the main roster jobber or NXT jobber as well too. As you know, a good amount of folks who did NXT would start in jobbing as well too. Whether they came from another company or they start in the FCW and NXT circuits as well too. From Bailey, Sami Zayn, Sasha Banks, now Mercedes Moné, even Liv Morgan, who else can you think? Even big guys like Baron Corbin and Damian Priest and many others. So, without further ado, we're going to take out 10 of the WWE jobbers who eventually become world champions. So, without further ado, let's check this out. And I'll probably remember the shocking stories about that as well too.
I do not like the term jobber. Sadly, it has done the round, so we all know what it means. Enhancement talent is better.
Yup, Mick Foley.
It takes everybody to make a wrestling show work. Some people feel like getting put in such a position is their
and look who she's out to.
But
out of all people.
In fact, it can turn out this is for the best. When you smash through the ceiling, you have a lovely story to tell. And who was able to make this to hero? Well, I am Simon Miller, and here are the facts.
That damn pick here.
EC3.
EC3.
Wind your clocks back to this one. Before Ethan Carter III had chosen such a name, he was in NXT.
Bateman.
He was called Derek
Bateman. Yup.
Actually sounds like somebody from The Simpsons. This wasn't the NXT we know and love today,
as
it was
the competition.
But yes, from 2009 to 2013.
Yep, Johnny Curtis, Rose Clay,
EC3 plied his craft.
JC Fandango.
Much to this Bateman character either, and mostly it felt like he was there to put others over. Like many, he was then let go, but really that was for the best. He soon arrived in TNA, where he took on the character of Dixie Carter's nephew, and yes, that's where the name came from. It was an astute decision, as in June 2015, he won the TNA World title, and he had a 101-day reign. He stayed at the top of the card too, so look at that. EC did prove everybody wrong, if you did indeed doubt him. If you didn't, you totally smashed it. Well done, Gold Star. His second round in WWE seemed like he was going to benefit from this too, but it kind of did in NXT. Then he got called up to the main roster, and it went really badly. That'll be a talking point forever. I don't think he was actually ever really given a proper chance.
Right.
Just incredible. The speak of ECW is still spoken about today, although the stories of some wrestlers have been lost. You can still see how many of them rose to the top, though, because Paul Heyman is doing the same thing right now in WWE. You take an individual, you push their strengths, and you hide their weaknesses. It's how anyone in charge should operate, and man, did just incredible benefit from it. If you do go back to 1993 and 1994, you will see PJ Walker in the WWE.
Well, I can't say that. I forget he was Dola Montoya, where he pronounced that.
And he was getting beaten a lot. He must have done a decent job, though, as it turned into a full-time contract, where he was transformed into the Portuguese man of war, Aldo Montoya. No, don't overthink that one. It was just a crazy idea. Aldo sort of just hung out and played Nintendo for a while before he did arrive in ECW in 1997. No one really knew what to expect, but as well as a good tag team with Lance Storm, in April 2000, Justin had enough momentum and bam, he became the ECW World Champion. He held on to this until the company went down in 2001 too, and really WWE should have used him better when he came back into the fold. Fans were intrigued to see what we could do with this guy, Sadly, before long, he got lost in the shuffle. Number 8, Britt Baker.
Yup.
In 2016, after a brand split, Nia Jax was put on Raw and told she was going to destroy people for a while. A tale as old as time itself. Let's get the monster over by letting them be a monster. It happened to Braun Strowman too, which is when James Ellsworth became a thing. But somebody on the other side was indeed Britt Baker. She got mauled on the 25th of July show. Baker must have done all right because she was in somebody's mind in 2018 with NXT. She was hired to do the same thing for one Shayna Baszler. Outside of all that, though, she was also making noise on the indie scene when, of course, she was involved in the first All In. She was hired by AEW and bam. A quick switch to being the heel saw her become the women's champion in 2021. Britt was even able to do away with the ghost of Isaac Yankem by proving you could be a wrestling dentist, and during this time, man, she was super over. Sure, it's all gone a bit weird recently, but at the time, what a flipping 180. Number 7, Alexa Bliss. Alexa Bliss herself has talked about this. When Sasha Banks, Charlotte Flair, and Bayley were getting all the praise for changing women's wrestling in WWE, she was a little bit of an outlier, had a cheerleader gimmick, and it didn't feel like something that was going to translate to Raw or SmackDown. In late 2016, Bliss did get the call up from NXT, and doesn't it just go to show? A tweak here, a change there, make sure the machine gets behind you and boom. Before long, she was the SmackDown Women's Champion and the way she presented herself was perfect for the main roster. But Little Miss Bliss persona just worked. Even when she lost that title, she won a bunch more and proved she had legs too. We all remember the Bray Wyatt-inspired gimmick change, and even if it wasn't everybody's cup of tea, go look at the numbers. I do believe she smashed it. If you continue your research, you will see it was a big shift because her NXT record was just lose, lose, lose. Even when she was elevated, you could kind of tell it wasn't going to go her way. The move to the blue brand changed all of that, and Bliss never looked back. She was very important to the product from 2016 through to 2021, and as and when she does come back, I don't doubt this will continue. She went and figured it out. Number 6, Liv Morgan. 2015 was a totally different world for WWE.
I ain't gonna lie, I did like her gimmick when she first came out on NXT with the New York gimmick, New Jersey gimmick, though. Because I low-key was with her and Carmelo and eventually become a tag team, even in the main roster, but they had that Absolution nonsense. Was it Absolution? No, it wasn't. No, she was the opposite of Absolution. She was what's the fuck that name was? What's it? Riot Squad. Yeah.
You don't need a time machine for that.
Riot Squad was better than Absolution.
Was being pushed huge in NXT, whereas Liv Morgan didn't even get a name. When
she's a local competitor.
People referred to her as the
local competitor.
With a bit of research, it turns out her name was Marley, and of course she was quickly dispatched. Naturally. It soon changed when the Riot Squad was born, and while that was up and down, Liv Morgan established herself as somebody who had potential. The Harley Quinn tie-in helped her, but there was more.
Who would have thought she'd be the breakout member of the Riot Squad that stayed and being a bigger star?
Stuff with that Lana Rusev storyline.
Yeah.
The 2022
I forgot she's part of that nonsense. Oh my god. Yeah, this is when Vince was really on some bullshit for a while. I forgot she's part of that dumb nonsense.
Mostly because it was bungled by the powers that be, but you know the deal. WWE used her unfortunate injury to their advantage, turned Morgan heel, and her 2024 was excellent. Won the Women's World title, had that great relationship with Dom Mysterio, totally reinvented herself. Liv plays back up to nobody now either, and there's no reason this can't continue. Her act is working and she's damn good at it. Surely there is going to be loads more with this character going forward. I mean, we've only touched the top of the iceberg. So let's keep it going. Number 5, AJ Styles. AJ Styles was ahead of his time. Not just in how he changed what in-ring wrestling could be, but in the early 2000s, he was offered a WWE developmental deal, and he turned it down. Not only would it have uprooted his wife, who was about to become a teacher, but AJ felt like the company wouldn't use him correctly. He had to go out there and make a name for himself. Styles was already affiliated with the WWE because he would appear on Heat and Metal between 2001 and 2002. But of course, around that time is when TNA was born. They saw something in this man, and you know the rest. Even though he was one of their most important assets, he still actually wasn't used correctly. And sure, he became the world champion, but I tell you, he should have been the franchise player. It's why he would leave for Japan after getting lowballed on money, and this worked again. Styles somehow got even better, and in 2016, the mega WWE contract arrived, and AJ made a surprise debut in the Royal Rumble. Even
Still
then,
give me
there was
goosebumps.
trepidation because Vince McMahon never understood such performers. But the cream always rises to the
Typical
top.
Vince.
He did such a good job, he won multiple world titles.
Yes.
And if you had followed his entire career, this was incredible. If you do want to
Indeed.
pull it back just to the headlines, it meant AJ Styles turned down OVW, and 20 years later was flying higher than most.
Yes.
It's such a cool story, and why he's a generational talent. The man changed the game.
Facts.
For Bryan Danielson.
Oh, yeah,
So I
of
think
course.
most people
Of
know this
course.
story, but it's still quite the tale. For Daniel Bryan, as he was known in WWE, defied all the odds and proved that no matter what Vince McMahon thinks,
Right.
he can't outdo the fans. Even when he was first hired, not many thought he'd be used correctly because he was quote-unquote too small. Saying that today sounds ridiculous. If you go back to 2000 to 2003, you will see Bryan pop up in many enhancement matches in WWF, and trust me, even the biggest fan of the indie scene didn't go, oh wow, there's a future WrestleMania main eventer. It's just not how WWE did things. The American Dragon also lost the likes of Lance Cage, Sean O'Haire, and even John Cena as he was making his way to superstardom. To be honest, I think Bryan was just happy to be used.
Yep.
Fast forward to 2013, and he was so over it became a war between
Yes!
the audience and
Yes!
management, which ended when he did indeed close the show at Mania 30.
Yes!
I mean, it's just
Yes!
the best story. At first, he was most definitely seen as low on the totem pole by WWE, though. You can't pretend otherwise. They were just totally incorrect, and thank goodness it all worked out. Daniel Bryan or Bryan Danielson inspired a whole generation. Number 3, Jeff Hardy.
Oh, yeah.
It is so
Cool.
crazy to try and
The infamous, yep, the Hardy Boys being one of the best ones who came from jobber to superstardom ever.
process this, but Jeff Hardy once faced Scott Hall in an enhancement match.
Right.
Hall was a big
At
fan of him
17.
as well, and that is how long Jeff has been around.
Right.
Doesn't actually make much sense. I would also include Matt in this list because he would become a TNA
True.
champion and the ECW champion. But of course, his brother went a step further because despite sneaking into the company as a 16-year-old
Yup.
and losing to everyone, he would indeed become the WWE champ.
Oh,
Wasn't
16.
a
I thought
free
17, but
fans
16?
were
Wow.
desperate for it. It was June 1994 when he was beaten by Razor Ramon, which sums it up, and his name was Keith Davis.
Yep.
Amazing. He even lost to King Kong Bundy, which is so insane it will keep you up at night when somebody must have realized it was time. The Hardys became a thing, and let's face it, they changed the tag team scene forever.
You got
By
that right.
2008, Jeff's popularity couldn't
Yes.
be ignored, and he did become the WWE champion and a 2-time world heavyweight champion. If it wasn't for his personal issues, I tell you,
Yeah.
his adventure could have reached even
Definitely.
greater
Oh,
heights.
God, don't
I
show
tell
that.
you, my friends, people love this guy. Even with all that, though, he still went higher than most thought, given at one point, people saw him as a beanpole being destroyed by new generation talent. I don't get how he's still going, given the wear and tear on his body, but hey,
Right.
it is the secret sauce.
And he's still going
Let's
as
get right into
TNA
his
tag
brain.
champs.
Number 2, John Moxley.
Ooh,
Look at these
good
images
one.
side
You
by
know,
side.
I can't stand his character they got going on now, or what the hell he doing with this Death Rider nonsense. Like, they dragging it on the cool, but we'll see.
Same story as before. Nobody thought this red-headed menace was going to become the WWE
damn redhead
champion.
every
This
time.
is when the soon-to-be Dean Ambrose was trying to make a name for
Chief
himself as
Morley,
he appeared on
Val Venus.
WWC shows in 2006 and 2007. He had to grind for a few more years, but in 2011 he did indeed get a developmental deal. Step 1. It was quite the rise, as by 2012 he was debuting on WWE TV as one-third of The Shield. This wasn't your run-of-the-mill arrival either. Along with Seth Rollins and Roman Reigns, management had decided they were going to push these guys. Within a few
Yep.
months, they were a featured act. After they split in 2014, Ambrose almost became a loose cannon type. And while WWE did indeed make him do jokes, he was able to fight through those too.
Right.
2 years later, as the Shield played past the parcel with the WWE title, it was Dean who walked
Yes.
away with the gold. The man had done it.
Yes.
We soon learned he was most definitely somebody who marched to the beat of his own drum, which made him even more interesting, especially because he left WWE
Yep.
by his own accord. This wasn't his type of wrestling, so he walked out the door. Talk about integrity. He also became the AEW World Champion, so go and look at that first picture
Yep.
again. Not sure anybody predicted that, which is the
Yeah,
point
right.
of this list. Anybody
And
can
he
make
sure
it
is
in
what's
good.
doing it.
Screw rhyme and reason. I mean, it would be rubbish. It would be the other way around. Number 1, Mick Foley.
Mick Foley,
This
yup.
one is a bit unfair, but always remember what Vince McMahon said to Jim Ross after JR finally convinced his boss to hire Mick Foley. McMahon, with his usual grace, made it clear he was only doing it to prove the idea would fail. Yeah, good work. Of course, he was totally wrong, and
Wrong,
Foley would go on to win the
wrong.
WWF
Typical
title
offense.
multiple times, and it was awesome. Talk
Yes.
about a guy that was easy to support. Even as a heel, he just gave everything. We all know his bumps were next level bonkers.
Oh,
Way
yes.
back in 1986, Foley also got a few bookings as an enhancement talent in the World Wrestling Federation.
Jack Foley.
I mean, on Wrestling Challenge, Kamara, of all people, defeated him in about 39 seconds.
Yep.
The Bulldog and Hercules also took their time whooping his ass, and Mick talked about that. Apparently, Davey Boy Smith kicked the life out of him. Of course, nothing would slow him down, and not only was he a success in WCW, but he did an ECW before getting his WWF shot, and look at the rest. Mankind was the reason The Undertaker was able to get things going again.
Right.
He needed a viable opponent. Bingo.
Yeah,
So
their
just-
feud, yeah. Not just the Hell in a Cell when they first started, when he was the crazy Mankind with the trapped up finger. Oh my God, that was feud for the ages. To where he even had Paul Bearer turning on the Undertaker and all that. Yeah, that was a feud for the ages, man. They're if you're ever talking about a good rivalry of wrestling WWE, they gotta talk about Mick Foley and Mankind and Undertaker for sure, man. That was a good rivalry most don't talk about as much.
Just starting on your wrestling journey, go and look what Foley did. If you only replicate half of it, you are going to be on to a winner. Know of any other wrestlers that circumvented your expectations to become a winner?
Definitely. There's a good amount for sure, man. But these ones they selected definitely exceeded it. So other than that, good video from Wall Culture. If you like my reaction, like, share, subscribe to my YouTube channel. It's your boy T-Bear signing off. One love.